Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 9. I am super excited to talk about this today, and I'm going to do some really amazing amping up of the energies towards the end. So make sure you listen to the whole thing because we're going to dive deep. We're going to dig deep today, and we're going to find things that you may be experiencing right now that are creating this energy of victimhood that keeps you where you are. Episode 8 was all about you were never stuck, and this episode is all about breaking free from victimhood because victimhood is one of the biggest ways that we get stuck, and some of the ways that we may unconsciously be creating in our life and not even becoming aware of it. So, I'm going to give you all of the different ways that we are victims, that we create from this victim mentality and this victim energy. And once we get through all of that, then I'm going to do some amping up of the energies because my energy right now, people, is off the charts and I want to transfer it to you. I want to give you some of what I'm feeling. I want you to feel excited about your life. I want you to feel passionate about your life. And I want you to start creating the life that you've always dreamed of, the life that you desire, because it's completely freaking possible. It's not only possible, it is so likely that if you have a vision, if you have a desire, if your heart is calling you to something, that you absolutely have the wherewithal to create it. And the fact that you're listening to me means that you have an interest in understanding how the creation process works, which means you're inviting in and activating a frequency that's going to make you a better deliberate creator. That's going to make you the deliberate creator that you have always been. It's just going to awaken that within you. I started thinking the other day when people ask me, like, what do you do? Or, what do you teach? Um, I had this thought, like this massive download that just came to me. And it's like, I help people remember who they are. That's it. Even if you've never even realized that this is who you are, that is what I want to transfer. That is always what I am looking to create for people is that shift within themselves to go, oh, hell yeah, I can do this. I can create this. If I can think about it and I can want it, I can absolutely create it. So I'm going to help you remember who you are always. I'm going to keep reminding you that you are this fantastic, incredibly powerful being that has the ability to create whatever it is. The fact that your heart is calling you to it means that you have the ability to create it. How cool is that? And I am living proof. No doubt about it. Okay, so let's jump into victimhood. What is victimhood? Most of us grow up kind of in this feeling of victimhood, right? Because most of us have had parents or siblings or teachers or just like um, authoritative adults that don't really give us our power. They don't really inspire power within us or empower us to follow our hearts or to follow what we want to do because they have an agenda for us. Most of the time the adults in our life have an agenda for us and they have a certain way of living that they believe is the correct way of living, and they're always going to give us those belief systems and expect us to kind of be in line, right? Like be a good girl or be a good boy. And if we're not following those rules, then now we're getting labels like autistic and things like that, or behavioral issues or mental illness and all of those different things, because if we're not fit inside of a box, then there must be something wrong with us. If we're not following the protocols, there must be something wrong with us, right? That's what we grew up with. Like that's our society programming. If we don't listen and follow the rules and do what the government is telling us to do, or do what our mom is telling us to do, or our boss or our teacher, then there's something wrong with us, that we're wrong. And I'm here to call bullshit on all of that because we have our own inner beings, we have our own inner answers, and we have our own inner callings. And because of that, we're autonomous. Like we're autonomous beings that have the freedom to choose what we think, to choose what we believe, to choose what we feel. We have the ability to do that. And when you let go of victimhood, you're going to stand in this really cool place that says, I know what I want And I'm able to say no when I want to say no, and I'm able to say yes when I want to say yes, and I'm able to live from this experience of being a deliberate creator. I am no longer creating by default by what life is throwing at me. I'm deciding. I'm deciding that in the face of any contrast that I am overcoming this, that I'm going to come to a new place of a bigger capacity for joy, a stronger capacity for joy. So victimhood is being in a position where you feel like something has power over you, that you are powerless in the face of this. So I want you to think about that and maybe even journal about this, because this is a really good topic and something that could really uncover a lot for you. So I am powerless in the face of this. Like, I am powerless in the face of my boss. I am powerless in the face of my government. I am powerless in the face of the grocery store. Whatever it is that's driving you nuts right now, right? We've got a lot of that stuff going on. I'm powerless in the face of what I think is going to happen. Oh, there's a lot of that shit going on. Like, this speculation, this is happening and we got to fight it. And it's like, okay, all right, well, that's victimhood. That is absolutely victimhood. Being, driven crazy from things that you're observing means you're a victim, because you're allowing things to dictate the way you feel, right? I had a little thing last night that brought some stuff up for me, and I was like, whoa, I'm being a victim right now. And that's like when you start to feel those triggers and people are, you're in a belief system that people are making you feel a certain way, that's victimhood. All right, so we're going to go through the different ways in which you may still be feeling that you're a victim. And, I thought I was over this victimhood stuff, but like I said last night, got a little something that kind of ticked me off and made me feel like, okay, I don't want that to happen. And I started to resist it, right? And whenever we're resisting, whenever we're fighting against something, we're not allowing. We're not in the path of least resistance where things can work out for us, because we're fighting against, because we're holding on too tight. And that's not a great way to create. It does work. It does work. Like, fighting does work, but it's just not the path of the most peace. It's not the path of the highest frequency. Okay. It still has a lot of victimhood involved in it, because if you're fighting against something, you're not energetically creating. You're doing a lot of things through action and through anger, which again, it will work, but it does slow down the energy and it does make things come really hard. And my whole thing is I want things to come real easy. And I bet you do too. I know we don't have a belief system that things are supposed to come easy, right? Our whole lives we've been taught hard work. You got to make those goals. You got to go out and make it happen. If you want to eat, you got to go kill the animal. Like, that's what our generational cellular structures are made up of. So this stuff goes against all of that. So, give yourself a little bit of a break if you're having a hard time really grasping this, or if you've been listening to me for a while, or you've been studying law of attraction for a while and you don't feel like it's really coming to fruition, like you don't feel like you're really manifesting really well, it's a process. It's a process of letting go of a lifetime of bullshit. It's a process of letting go of this stuff that is literally in our bodies, releasing it and letting go. If you need help with that, M21 Revolution is an amazing place. It's on Facebook. It's a group that I run with my partner, Jess Gomkowski. We've got a ton of emotional releases in there. So if you got a lot of stuff coming up, if you started meditating and you're feeling like this, just a lot of emotions and you're having trouble processing and getting through them, that is a wealth of information, a wealth of videos. And it's really a tool. It's like a tool. It's a page that creates this community that has all these tools that can help you through that process. So that's the way I can serve on that front. So if you find yourself blaming others, so, you're in relationships and you're feeling like, this person is doing this to me, and you find yourself in a lot of conversations where you're talking about people and you're blaming them for what's going on, and you're angry with them, and you're feeling very powerless against certain people, jobs, spouses, bosses, teachers, government, all of that stuff. If you're feeling a lot of angst around that and you're feeling like a lot of blame, there's no growth in blame. When we're blaming other people and we're putting all of the responsibility on them, we basically cut our healing off at the knees because we're not taking stock in what we are contributing, and we're not taking stock in what they are reflecting to us, because there's always a reflection going on. No one can do anything to you that's not going on inside of you. Because if it wasn't going on inside of you, you wouldn't really care. You wouldn't take it personally. It wouldn't bother you. I said something the other day, and it felt really wonderful and profound. And it was, no one can judge you without you judging yourself. You can't feel someone's judgment unless you are judging yourself. And that's a really good thing to know right now in this world that we're living in. If you just live your life unapologetically and do what you know consciously so deep in your heart is right for you, then no one will come at you. And if they do come at you, you won't feel triggered, because you won't feel like, you've got a lot of judgment for yourself going on. You're just doing, hey, listen, dude, like, I'm just doing what's right for me, chill, right? You won't be triggered because you won't be taking that stuff personally, because you'll know immediately, because you've let go of victimhood, that it is about that person, that it has nothing to do with you, and that you don't have to drop your vibration to where they're at, because you're feeling in that higher vibrational state, and you're just kind of like looking down like, oh, he's flipping out. I don't need to be a part of that. That's not about me. I love that. That's one of my favorite sayings. This is not about me. House full of girls. This is not about me. That's a good saying. If you're a parent, that's a really good saying. This is not about me. So often in parenting, sidebar, I've noticed over my journey, which I wrote about in Quantum Speak for Parents, which is available on Amazon, that when our kids are doing stuff that like really triggers us and really drives us crazy, that there is always an element of something going on within us. They're such beautiful reflectors. And when you stop taking their stuff personally and you don't engage and you don't get wrapped up in what's going on with them, and you keep yourself in a higher frequency state, not always easy, for sure, not always easy, especially if you've got a supercharged relationship with a child right now. It's not always easy to stay out of their field. It's not always easy to get yourself distanced. My greatest suggestion in that is always positive aspects, to write down lists of positive aspects and things you love about them, because you will tune in differently. One of my other suggestions in my book was to take out pictures of them when they were like the sweetest. Like, for some kids, it might have been like when they were just born. Other kids, it's like 3 years old is like, 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is like my favorite. 3 to 6, my favorite. Once they start losing their teeth, yeah. But 3 to 5, they're just precious and they're sweet and they're just fun. So take out pictures and think about them at that age and remember how sweet they were. Remember what sweet babies they were. So positive aspects are huge when it comes to that, because you got to tune into a different frequency with them, because if you're constantly looking at what they're doing wrong that's driving you crazy, you will continue to be driven crazy, and you are a victim in that relationship. You are a total victim in that relationship. And when they get to ages between like 16 and 20, they go through a phase where they have to make you hate them. I'm telling you, I've watched it with every single one of my kids. It'll be interesting to see what happens with my baby, because she is a little bit less charged with me. We have a different relationship. But even my oldest, who we love each other. Like, she really never talked back to me. She did not give us a hard time. Right around 18, 19, ooh, she was driving me crazy. She like pierced her lip and cut her hair really short and was doing all sorts of things I did not approve of. And it was tough. But they come back. That's the beautiful thing. They come back. And it's a wonderful thing when you can take your eyes off of what they're doing wrong and you can shift your relationship and take your power back. That is the coolest thing ever. And you can do it no matter what they're going through at what time. Keep the communication field open. And if you find yourself in a lot of bickering and stuff, this is good for spouses too. If you find yourself in a lot of bickering, just do your best to keep your mouth shut. Like, A lot of times I'll think things, this is mastery. I'll think things, I don't say them. I don't say them. And then I process them and I breathe through them and I work on shifting into a different perspective. Because if I'm always harping and nagging and bitching at anyone, I'm not creating peace and love and joy. Right? And isn't that the goal? More ways of being a victim. Beating yourself up. Beating yourself up is totally a victim, because if you did something wrong and you made a mistake and you're beating yourself up about it, you are stalling your growth on that particular subject. And you're not allowing yourself to create the awareness around it because you're too in the low vibration of being hard on yourself and beating yourself up and creating from that coulda, shoulda, woulda, resentful energy, that regretful energy. Nothing good ever comes from that. The guilt, the shame, the regret, nothing good comes. So stop beating yourself up. And the way to do that really is just to interrupt the bullshit and say, not doing this anymore. Not doing this anymore. This is mind training. That's what mind training is all about, because it's the mind that beats you up. It's not your inner being. It's not your inner love. It's not your inner self. It's that mind that's used to those neural pathways that, were set in place by maybe, a destructive parent or a destructive sibling or just a destructive self. We call it mental illness, but it really is just a matter of gaining control of that mind and putting ourselves in a place where we start to clear out that energy that's been stuck within us that, came from, which was, what we wanted to experience. Like, we came here to experience that so we could expand and grow from it. So if you find yourself beating yourself up a lot, I know I did another show about the self-love stuff. I don't remember which one it is, but you can look through the show notes and find self-love and how to go about that. Subjecting ourselves to an addiction. Hello, victimhood. I can't stop. I just can't stop. And listen, I'm very familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous, all of that stuff. I've really immersed myself in studying recovery for my own reasons. Having my own relationship with alcohol and things like that, and different activities that I do. I want to know things. Like, I want to understand how the brain works in reference to different things like addiction and stuff. And I actually had someone who lived with me who was very much addicted to drugs, and it was a cool experience in the way that it called me to different things that helped me to heal in different ways. And um, and I guess I chose that. I guess I wanted to go through that. So I value that there are situations where, chemically you may be altered in a way that makes you more apt to do drugs and alcohol or whatever that addiction is. I get that. But to me, putting yourself in a place where it's like, I have no control over myself in regards to this is victimhood. It's victimhood. And I also don't agree with, and you may not agree with me, and that's totally cool. Please don't shut my show off because you don't agree with me on something. But I don't agree with labeling ourselves as this for the rest of our lives. I just don't agree with that. I feel like that is very powerless position. And for some people, yes, it totally works and it keeps them in a place of safety, right? Safety, like, I'm powerless against this, so I have to stay away from it for the rest of my life. Whatever works for you. But for me, the labeling of stuff makes me crazy. It makes me crazy when we label our kids, when we label ourselves. There is a book by David Hawking called Letting Go. Best book I've ever read. He healed himself of like 50 different things. I just have this very strong belief that when we're standing in our power and we're deciding to create, that we can heal ourselves from anything. I really and truly believe that. You don't have to, but I do. So when it comes to subjecting yourself to an addiction, the truth is you're putting yourself in a powerless position when you decide that this particular, let's just get into this for a second because this is important. So let's just take alcohol, for instance. Now, or any substance that you're putting in your body. That substance actually alters your cells. So it alters your cells in a way that your body adjusts to that substance, and it creates a physical experience from that subject that your body um, takes on and allows for certain things to happen. Because it does that, then you start to feel like you need that thing to have those certain reactions. So like the certain hormone downloads or whatever happens, the releases, the hormone releases, the dopamine releases, whatever happens when you put that substance in your body. So your cells take it on, your cells become friends, right? Come on, let's party, let's have fun. And your body adjusts. Your body is so freaking brilliant that it adjusts to this substance and it starts to take it on as part of its experience. When you take that substance away and you decide or you try, as people say, hate the word try, it like invites failure. When you do that, you actually, your cells start to ask for it. Your cells, your mind, your neural pathways start to ask for it. And that's what a craving is. That's what a craving is. It's like, where's my stuff, right? Like, you give this to me every day. Why don't I have it right now? And when we give into those cravings and we decide that, our mind, our body, whatever, is more powerful than our will or our strength to overcome something, then we become victims. And that's why we perpetuate certain addictions. Now, those substances and things are okay. They're okay. They're not optimal. Many people use substances to get themselves in a different state. Like, many people are using them to get out of different energies that don't feel good, right? Like, I just need a beer to relax, or I just need a glass of wine at the end of the day because I'm so wound up. And in those instances, it's not great to use that stuff as a reason to relax or as a relaxer, but sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay, right? Like, if you were to have like no hard lines, and for some people it may not be okay, and that's their belief, and I'm not going to take that away from anyone. But when it comes to alcohol or drugs, if you're constantly running to those things to alter your state, you're taking all your power away. You're taking your power away to live in higher frequencies, because alcohol and certain substances are totally depressant. So they might make you feel good in the moment, but the next day you're actually going to feel lower. Pay attention to it. Take some time off, like take a day or two off, maybe more. Yeah, you got to take longer than that. I would say, God, if you did 60 to 90 days with no alcohol in your system, you have no idea the joy and the places that you can hit doing that. Seriously, it is life altering. It really is. If you can change your belief systems around it and just be like, I'm deciding this right now, I'm doing this, because some people are miserable doing that, right? We know people that give it up for 30 days, and like the whole 30 days, all they talk about is how many days they have left. Been there, done that. But if you can let it go from that place of like, I want to explore my inner space. I want to know what it's like in there without this substance altering me. If you do that from that curiosity, the expansion and growth will be very, very cool. Very, very cool. And you may hit frequencies you didn't even know you had the ability to hit, because you're no longer dumbing your system down. And again, I enjoy a glass here and there. I will not lie. I have given it up for long stretches of time. In the beginning of COVID, I did 100 days, and it was wild and it was fantastic and it was wonderful. But then I started to realize that there were certain times in my life that I really felt like it enhanced things, and it can enhance things if you're in the right vibration when you do it. So that's where I'm at right now. People, that could change. I'm open to change, absolutely. But I do feel better when I don't do it, I have to say. I do feel higher energy. I do feel cleaner. I do feel my capacity for joy is off the charts. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Okay. Anything that makes us feel like we don't have a choice, right? Like, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. I have a family. I got to take care of them. I got to work hard, blah, 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 blah. Anything that makes you feel like you are not a choice. You are always at choice, people. Always at choice. And it's like, well, if I quit my job, then I'm going to lose my house. Well, is that your belief? Really? Is that your belief? Because if that's your belief, then that's probably what's going to happen. So in order to feel like you have a choice, you have to start asking yourself, well, what could I do? if I hate this job? What could I do? And what avenues could I look at? And, inviting in that open perspective, opening all the channels. My friend, my partner Jess in M21, open all channels open, she says all the time. And I love that because it's like I'm open to receive. I'm ready. If I feel really miserable about this job, I know that if I start activating something else is going to come because I'm inviting it in, because I'm believing in the energies, because I'm trusting in the universe, right? Oh, so good. Saying, I don't know how. Oh, confusion and low, let's see, what do we want to call this? Low self-esteem, low self-confidence, just not being in your power. It's powerlessness. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's powerlessness. There has been so many things that I have overcome that I can pretty much call bullshit on anything you tell me. If you say, I can't do that because of this and I can't do that because of this, I will find a way to cut through that. I'm going to cut through that bullshit and I'm going to tell you, I have now built 3 websites. I was terrified. The only thing I could do on the computer about 8 years ago was check my email. And that was like before Facebook, I think. Maybe check my Facebook. I don't know. Email. That's all I could do. Reply to email. Didn't know how to do a single thing. Now I've built websites. I've done produced shows. There's nothing I can't do on the computer because you can Google freaking everything. It's just your anxiety that shuts down your wisdom and shuts down the avenue of the universe to deliver either the person or the information that you need to create from. So get out of that I don't know how, because we don't really need to know the how. We just need to know why. Why do I want to do this? Because I want to create, because I'm a creator and I love creating and I love the journey of figuring things out and putting my hands in the clay and creating those masterpieces. So get out of this I don't know how and just ask yourself, how do I find out? How do I find out? It's so easy. Shit, man, Google, are you kidding me? You can Google anything, people. Believing that people are out to get you. So I had a funny conversation with one of my kids the other day, and she was telling me that she has this belief that someone's out to get her, and I go, let's see if I can say this right. She can't get you because you can't be got. They can't get you because you can't be got. How cool is that? What does that mean? I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim, so no one can get me because I can't be gotten, because I don't take things personally, and I know that I am in my power. I know that I'm in my power, and if I'm feeling that I'm, not in my power, I'm going to sit down. I have tools. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to talk to people who are uplifting and inspiring. I'm going to listen to Golden's podcast, and I'm going to let that juice me up. So I know that I'm a deliberate creator. I know that if I write things down and if I decide that I'm going to create something different. I know that if I write down positive aspects of this person, I'm going to shift our whole experience together. And I know I have the power to do that. I know that I have the power and ability to focus in the direction of what I want to create. And that is the most powerful way to create manifestation. Once you heal, you will feel less hurt. Okay, so a lot of the victimhood stuff is because we have wounds, right? So things happen, traumas happen, and we carry those traumas around in this big heavy ass bag and we drag it around with us. And we tell everybody about it and we live from it and we create a lot of experiences from that particular trauma. How many times have you talked to people and they got divorced like 20 years ago and they're still talking about it and they're still talking about how it ruined their life? How many times? Like, how many times have you talked to someone who, something happened that derailed them from their dream, and they have created this energy around their lives that has kept them very, very stuck because they don't believe there's anything else. They don't believe, they don't understand the expansion of the universe to call us to new things, to new desires, to new dreams when things don't work out the way that we thought they would. So once you heal, you'll feel less hurt. And when you feel less hurt, you're able to be a victim less. When you feel less hurt, you're able to stop taking things so personally. This is probably the most freeing thing. And I read this I read this and practiced it throughout the years. I don't even know when I read that book, but it's Don Miguel Ruiz. Oh boy, forgot the name of it. It's gone, but it's like the four something four. But one of his things, so there's like four sayings in his book. Don't remember. I only remember this one. And I'll look it up after this, I promise, and I'll put it in the show notes because it's a really fantastic book to read. And it's a fantastic four statements that are really good to adopt, great to adopt. And the one statement is, I take nothing personally. Like, nothing, I need to take nothing personally. Like, there's nothing around me that's happening that I need to make that mine. Whatever people are doing, they're doing from their own wounds or judgments or whatever's going on in them, but it's not about me unless I make it about me. When I take it personally, when I feel that hurt, that's when it becomes about me. That's when I know I'm being called to heal something. And people will always reflect what you have to heal. That's the coolest thing about this. So being a deliberate creator means we let go of victimhood, and it may take a little time, and it may take a little awareness and focus for you to recognize where you're being a victim, where things may be hurting you, or different relationships may not be feeling good anymore. There was a little thing on Facebook this morning. One of these people that I follow, and they have a group, and he was just expressing some real let's see, how do I want to say this? He was expressing some real disgust. And he was disgusted about the way the group was going and that no one has been in touch. And he feels pretty much like he's trying to drag bodies around and it doesn't feel good. And he's offered a lot of free coaching and people don't show up for his free coaching. And, what is that about and where is everybody? And I really thought about that. And I really thought about, where my journey has been in that, because, when you run groups like that and when you're dealing with the public, when you're dealing with the humans, people have their own stuff and they have their own stuff going on. And this year in particular, I think a lot of people walked through the fire, and I think a lot of people actually went back to sleep. I've seen that in my own life experience where there were people that were just starting to wake up, and I say that because they were starting to listen to me. That's boy, that was really egotistical. But you know what? The way that I believe and the way that I think and the way that I live just feels like a more awakened sense of living because it is very powerful and you do get to show yourself how incredibly powerful you are. And there's just a lot more joy involved. So I think that's why I think it's a little more awakened. And when you're in a journey where you're very aware and you're working on your stuff and you're really not settling for shit, I think that, that just feels more awake to me. So I, looked at what he was saying and I really felt it and I really felt for him and hopefully what I said was okay. But I've done a lot of free coaching and I've done a lot of things for people that necessarily weren't ready for it or didn't value what I was doing. And, I was doing it from a place of, I think when we do stuff like that, like when we give people stuff for free and when we give our time freely and we, start to get a little sucked dry from that, I think a lot of times we're disempowering people because we're putting them in a position where it's like, oh, you can't pay for this and you can't do this. So I'm in a better position so I can help you. And it's just disempowering. I had a friend once who always used to say, I just want to help. I just want to help. And I don't even like that word help. If you notice, I won't say that in my show notes or when I'm talking to people. I say assist because it's not up to me. It's a co-creative partnership that we go on this journey together. And if you want to listen to me and you want to follow what I'm doing and create with me, then I'm not helping you because you don't need help. You just need assistance and you need awakening to remember who you are. That's it. That's it. It's not help because if you're helping someone, a lot of times we're overdoing and we're doing too much for people that they either A, didn't ask for, used to do that with my kids all the time, or B, they are not in a position to receive. So you're giving and they're not really receiving or appreciating what you're giving because they're not in receiving mode. Yeah, good tip. Good tip. All right, so let's amp shit up. Let me see where we're at. Yeah, I think we're ready to amp. Oh, okay. So how do we let go of victimhood? I'm not going to leave you guys hanging out here, your victimhood. So, how we let go of victimhood, there's processes, and the processes are first awareness, right? Like asking yourself really solid questions around what's happening. Now, awareness will change nothing. In fact, awareness by itself can be very frustrating. I remember back in the day when I used to yell at my kids. Um, yes, I used to yell at my kids, and it was over messy bedrooms and being late for school. And, I've been on this journey and I've been shifting and growing and changing. And um, it's not very often I yell at kids anymore unless they get gum on my brand new sports bra. Found that out the other day. That one can trigger me, especially after you tell that said child not to put gum in the dryer at least 12 times and you had to scrub the gum off the dryer. Okay, sidebar. I am human. I think I like sharing that I'm human. So when it comes to asking those questions, the awareness is not enough. So I remember yelling at my kids and literally feeling like I was above it and looking at myself yelling and going, this is not who I am. I don't know how to stop it. This is not who I am. This is like not who I want to be. So it took little time for that awareness to become something where I was able to process and shift and change. And that went along with the healing journey that I've been on. So ask yourself some questions. What do I feel right now? Really good. Sit down, get into meditation, get your pen and paper out if journaling is a really good way for you to like throw up your junk that's inside of you, or just ask the questions, dig, and you got to dig deep. This is all about digging deep, going within and asking, and keep asking and asking and asking until you get to the core of that. Why do I feel, what am I feeling right now? Well, I'm feeling powerless. Well, why do I feel that way? Where does this come from? Where is the root of this? Was this something that I took on as a kid so that I could survive through my circumstances? Did I run and hide so I could survive? So once you start to dig down and you dig really deep and you find the foundation of it, you're in a very powerful position to ask for it to be released. Release from me. I don't need you anymore. I'm not interested in this anymore. I want to heal from this. Once you start inviting in these non physical energies to release for you, to help you heal, you will gain so much. Not only will you gain awareness, but you will gain the ability to interrupt the thoughts that cause you to go down that path of the bad neighborhood, I call it. Driving into the bad neighborhood, getting out of your car, and, just spending time there in that yucky place. Meditate. Meditate, 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 meditate so you learn and grow. Commit to a meditation practice. So I'm reading this book right now. I'm really, really loving it. It's called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess by Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Brilliant lady, scientist, love scientists. But one of the things that she says that I thought was so interesting was it takes 63 days to create a habit. And the 21-day thing came from a cosmetic surgeon who wrote a book who, in the 1960s, said it takes 21 days to become a habit, and we have adopted it as our social programming. So interesting. So they've done studies and they've found out it takes 21 days to change thought patterns, but 63 days to really create a foundation of habit. So create a habit, commit to a habit of meditation, 20 minutes per day, quiet your mind, listen to a guided meditation, whatever you have to do to get yourself in a space of zero state awareness. Don't judge your practice. Get away from judging your practice. If you have 15 minutes where you're thinking the whole time, you have 5 solid minutes of zero state awareness. You are creating a very strong muscle that is going to create space for you between your response and your what's coming at you. Right? Stimulus and response. You're going to have that space. If you have space between stimulus and response, you get to choose. You get to choose how you respond, and you're no longer a reactor. You're more of a deliberate creator. Love that. Okay, so moving on. What else did I say? Have a process for healing. Create a process for healing that works for you. What works for me, in the past, I have worked with energy healers. If you can find someone to do energy release work with, I highly recommend it. I think in the beginning of a healing journey, to have someone there to hold that space with you and to help you move energy is extremely powerful. I did that for 6 years, almost every 2 weeks, honestly. Like when I was going through this move, holy crap, needed to get rid of some stuff, needed to grieve, needed to release, needed to let go, needed to step back into my power because we went through some times of victimhood for sure. So find someone. I've got some exciting stuff happening, and pretty soon I'm going to be able to serve you with that. I have no idea what that looks like yet, but I do, and I don't, and I'm really, really pumped and excited about what I'm going to be able to do for you and for just for everyone. Like just to have that effect on our consciousness and be able to raise us to higher levels by letting go of stuff is so cool. M21 is also a really great resource for that. If you don't have if you don't believe you have the funds to do something wonderful for yourself as far as working with someone, I would highly recommend. M21 is free. It's a free group on Facebook, and we just do donation-based challenges. Uh, do, 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 do. Do not let your mind drive. There's a profound statement. Do not let your mind drive. When you let your mind drive, you go into neural pathways and old habits of thought that create victimhood, that keep you in that victim state. So if you notice that so they say it's 16 seconds, right? I don't know how they know this, but 16 or 17 seconds. When you have a thought, if you hold on to that thought for 16 to 17 seconds, another thought is going to match it. And then another thought is going to match that. And you'll see it. Oh man, it's like a ride. When you're super aware, it's like a ride. And then after like a minute of doing that, then you're going to start creating physical manifestation. You're going to feel it, and it's just going to become. So in order to stop that momentum, you got to catch it in the beginning, right? Because there's momentum that happens. That law of attraction is always in order. It's always working. You got to stop it, and you got to say, I don't have to think about that right now, or I'm going to take this into my meditation because I'm going to do some healing work on it. You know, what is that about for me? Where is my stuff in this is one of my favorite things. I say that that's probably been one of the biggest statements in my marriage and in my parenting that has been a freaking game changer. Where is my stuff in this takes all the blame off of them. It takes us out of the dance, right? Like the familiar dance of fighting and creating all this yucky energy and blaming each other and bringing up the last 10 things that happened that we were unhappy with. So it just puts me in a space of where is my stuff in this and where do I need healing? It invites in so much energy and so much information that allows the healing to take place. Where is my stuff in this? Oh, I love that so much. So, not letting your mind drive. Okay, we're going to amp things up, create a process for healing. Okay, the last thing that I want to say is just making and keeping commitments to yourself. So, you guys all know I go to this gym, and when I'm doing these competitions that I'm doing, I have a very solid commitment to myself. Like I'm going to eat right, I'm going to do the right things, I'm going to exercise. And we have these workouts and they don't always align with the time that they're allotted for the class. So if you want to finish the workout, which basically is like 5 sets or 6 sets or whatever, you have to stay later. And when everybody's laying down on the floor and stretching and relaxing, you have to continue to go. So I made a commitment to myself in the very beginning of this, which was like 6 weeks ago, that I would finish the workouts. And I did this last time too, and it really does serve me to do this. And my commitment is I finish the workout. And if my commitment is I finish the workout, then I don't bail on the workout. Because if I don't keep promises to myself, who can I keep a promise to? Right? What am I saying to myself if I don't keep a commitment to myself? That's not self-love. That's not self-commitment. That's not self-integrity, right? I don't have integrity with myself. Like, come on. We got to rise up. We got to have commitments to ourselves. We got to show up for ourselves. You know, if you make a commitment to exercise and eat right and become healthier and you blow it off to go have a crappy meal and drinks, what are you saying to yourself? Right? Like that's a worthiness thing. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of these healthy activities because I love myself, because I committed to myself, and I keep promises to myself. So you don't have to keep promises to anybody else, but you got to keep them to yourself. That's such an important life, like just a life policy. That's a life policy for me, is that I keep commitments to myself. If I say that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I do it. Like I just do it. It's not I'm going to do it. I do it, right? I don't just try. Oh, please, 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 people, take try out of your vocabulary. Whenever I hear the word try, I'm like, try invites failure. I'm going to try. What? Why don't you decide instead? Decide. Because when we try too, we're also in split energy. So we're like, we could go either way. And um, there's not a lot of energetic push to that wave. You know, remember that quantum wave that comes out and creates and breaks down and becomes particle? There's not a lot of energy to push that wave out. So the trying actually slows the energy down, creates from split energy, and you don't have this like cohesive energy that you've decided and you're doing it. I'm doing it, right? Okay, so let's amp things up. How do you amp things up? Well, all right, so maybe you're in a position right now in your life where you feel like things are just okay. You're kind of bored, you don't really know what to do, and you're in this state of, just feeling a little stagnated. And if you are, listen to my last episode, You Are Never Stuck, because that will help you to change the belief systems around that. But you have to invite in new things. If you want to activate energy and activate something new in your life, you have to do new things. There's been many studies out there that you will create new neural pathways, that you will actually slow down the process of aging. Actually, they found tennis is a really good way to create new neural pathways, and that eye-hand coordination is really good for creating new telomeres in your brain, which actually is like goes against aging, the aging process. So there was a couple of things. There was tennis, like crossword puzzles, things like that, things that really engage your brain, that keep you in a place of activity in your brain state. Meditation's huge for that. Absolutely huge for reconnecting, for healing, for balancing, for the whole thing. Meditation is probably the number one thing you could do. But also you can do different things, like do different activities, like learn something new, right? I keep telling myself I'm going to learn French. I have not even approached it because I have so much wonderful stuff going on. So it's a good problem to have. But eventually, someday, I'm going to learn French. There's no doubt in my mind, because it's in my awareness. It's something that I want to do. So learn a new language, learn a craft, learn a skill, do something that you've always wanted to do. Like, do you have something that's like nagging at you that you've never done? And instead of after work, going and hitting the TV and cracking open a beer, maybe you go and research this thing that you want to do. Just open the pathway so that you can start bringing in new energy in your life. Maybe you start going out again. Maybe you go out in nature more. Yeah, nature is a huge activation of energy. It actually brings us back into well-being, the state of well-being. So hikes and the ocean and whatever you can do outside, more sunlight, that sort of stuff will really help you to feel better. Laying on a blanket in a field, done a lot of that in my life. Love doing that. Animals, connecting with animals, or whatever it is that really you feel passionate about, that you've told yourself you don't have time for. It's opening up that little bit of a doorway so you can start amping up the energy. Visualization is a great way to do that. And we talked about, I don't know if I ever talked about this, but Michael Bernard Beckwith talks about visioning in his book, Spiritual Liberation. And that is like letting the visions play out in your mind without having a big agenda for them, like without having to force anything. You kind of just let it come. And you let, you just let the horse show up, or the pool, or the ocean view, or whatever it is. So visioning is a great way. Doing it from a place of like feeling. So you're feeling into the manifestation. You're not doing it to make something happen. You're just doing it to feel it and to feel the joy of it. That's a huge way to amp things up. Appreciation and love. Those are the highest vibrational states you can get to. And meditation is a great way to tune into higher frequencies. There's a meditation on YouTube from Fred Dodson. He's one of my favorite guys, and it's called Higher Frequencies, tuning into higher frequencies. Pretty cool. I love his voice, and I love his meditations. So looking for those higher frequencies, music, music, dancing. I love dancing, and I love that I go to a gym that plays really high vibe music in the morning, and I dance like a fool around the gym, and I really don't understand how people don't dance. I don't, because music has always been something that moves my body without my permission. Like, I just have to move. I just have to move. When I'm in my car, when I'm in my kitchen, we've had full on dance parties in my kitchen more than once. It's just activating that energy of vibrancy, of life force, of joy, of just letting it all go and not giving a crap what anybody thinks about you. And, living your life in full force, full on, full on. So amping up the energies is appreciation, it's love, it's meditation, it's doing more things you enjoy. Why are you not doing things you enjoy? Or maybe you are. Get together with people who are high vibe, people who are going to raise the conversation. Can you find any of them? Call me. Yeah, I like to talk about good things. In fact, many times over this past year, my husband and I have had to just remind each other that we're not going to talk about that, whatever it is. If we start tuning into a frequency that doesn't feel good, one of us will say, all right, enough of that. Let's change the subject. What feels good? Let's talk about what feels good. And we'll go there, because that lower frequency energy and the what is happening, it does not make way for deliberate creation. It really is. It's focusing on what you don't want. So if you have some people in your life that you can talk to, that make you feel good, that uplift you, that you have fun with, spend more time with them. Look for activities that really infuse joy in you. Some light-hearted stuff, like, we don't have to take life so seriously. Like, why are we taking life so seriously? It's not that serious. It really isn't. And whatever's happening to you right now that might feel super serious, it's just a construct of what you were thinking about yesterday, and you can shift it like that. I promise you can shift it like that by focusing, by meditating, by writing down what you want and allowing it to come. Putting yourself in receiving mode means being in this lighter energy. Abundance is in alignment with relaxation, with letting go, with feeling peace, with feeling joy, with feeling well being, with trusting that all things are always working out for you. That's where abundance is. It's a high vibration. So if you're looking to create abundance, put some visualization around that. What does abundance look like for you? What does it feel like for you? Ask those questions, because if you're just in the doom and gloom and broke and not feeling good, listen, if you feel broke, it's a really good lesson. If you feel broke, okay, so if you feel constricted and like you don't have enough, and you're really feeling horrible about your finances, you will create broke situations. So your washing machine will break, your stove will break, your car will break. The universe will give you more reasons to feel broke. So it's important to shift that and start asking yourself, what does abundance feel like? And start putting yourself in the context of abundance. And it may be taking your eyes off the money and looking out. Oh, I feel abundance when I am hanging out with my friends and I just feel love and joy. Or I feel abundance when I'm eating a wonderful meal, a delicious meal that I cooked. Or I'm feeling abundance when I go out on a date with my wonderful partner who I adore and love so much, or when we're laughing and we're watching a funny TV show together. I feel abundance there. So it's about amping up those energies. How can I feel even better? How can I reach even higher for thoughts that feel even better? Because we're down here in this mind thing, right? Like this mind minutia, like the mind chaos, the monkey mind, and we're in that mind. And you'll see people. I see people all the time like this. They don't even see me. Like, they don't even see anyone outside of themselves, because they are just, I call it business mode. They're in the business mode. They're just all business. They're all business all the time. And they don't have any time for lightheartedness or joy or joking around, and they're missing so much. They're missing so much. So get out of the mind and start pulling yourself higher. Start asking yourself, what thought feels better? How can I happier? How can I feel more joy? Right now, right here, how can I feel more joy? And how can I invite in more joy and more fun and more energy and open all channels to that? Set your intentions and decide and write it down. Write it down. What are you looking to create? Is something like on your plate and you're really worried about it and you're concerned it's not going to, are you like playing out those worst case scenarios in your head? Are you? Are you? Stop it. Stop it. If you find yourself projecting into the future some bullshit, like something that you don't want to happen, stop it. I always say things like, not in my world. I say that. And this year has been really interesting as far as like taking my power back and deciding that I am free. I've had to do things to feel that freedom in other places when, we've been put in positions where we have to do things that we don't want to do. You can find freedom in other places, I promise you. And because of that, I've attracted a lot of cool stuff this year. It's been a fantastic year. It has. And if it hasn't for you, that's okay, because you have the ability to do that now. You have the ability to create that today. Yay! So amp yourself, reach higher, ask yourself constantly, what am I focused on right now? At one point, and I don't remember where I got this from, but I had cards, like index cards, all over my house. And my index card said, what are you focusing on right now? What are you focused on right now? What has your attention? What has my attention right now? Is it something that doesn't feel good? Is it something that, am I playing out worst case scenarios? Am I worried? Guys, worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Worrying is projecting a future that you don't want. When it comes to worry, what I do a lot of times, especially with children, if you have kids that are like driving around and stuff, you can go to very dark places if you have that situation. I just wrap them in angels. I just say, angels, watch over them, keep them safe, and I let it go. That's a practice. That's some mastery right there. I just let it go. Seeing them happy and healthy and successful instead of, what I don't like that they're doing. If you've got people in your life that are not healthy, or, they're not doing well, or you're concerned for them, let it all go and see them how you want to see them. See them healthy, whole, and happy, and bring that frequency to them so that they can grab onto it and raise themselves with it. We have the ability to do that. We have the ability to raise people's frequencies instead of dropping our frequencies to theirs. How cool is that? But you got to have a strong foundation. You got to have a meditation practice. You got to be aware, and you got to keep yourself in that higher vibe state where you're not taking things personally. Booyah. All right, people, I love you. And that is my show for today. And, I'll see you again real soon. Love ya. Peace.